know the power of the dark side.
But you know, happiness can be found even in the darkest of time. If one only remembers to turn on the light.
The beacons have been city! The beacons are lit!
Night gathers, and now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death.
Remember it well, then, this night.
For in those memories, we live on.
Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch.
I was there when it was written.
Call the banners.
All of them, my lord.
They've all sworn to defend my father, have they not?
They have.
Now we see what the words are worth.
But take heart. Look around you. You're not in this fight alone. We face our enemy together. And together, we will defeat them.
By all that you hold dear on this good earth, I bid you stand! Men of the West!
What's up? Oh, that's right in my fucking face. Okay, there we go. We're going to do it like that. What's up, everyone? Great Pilgrims in the house. Real White Nation clips. The Gatekeepers. Daimyo. I'm sorry, it's Daimyo. And the ever great, the only Georgia fan I actually appreciate, Star Wars Dog. I think that rhymed. Ever great. Yeah, I think that fucking rhymed. Okay. Well, let me sit right here, take a drink. We got some pretty great stuff to talk about tonight. So obviously, I was supposed to do this last night, but I felt like crap last night, so I couldn't do it. I had to do stuff. So first thing we're going to talk about, I'm sure everyone else has already heard everyone else say this, but I'm going to talk about it for a little while. So buckle up, get ready. Let's talk about Helldivers. So Helldivers was far and away the most popular game of 2024. It was the highest selling game. It was one of the most played games, and it had I think it was in the top 3 most played on Steam since it came out, which is crazy if you're not Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto Online, or whatever other Fortnite game is coming out. So you had all this stuff. I should really keep the chat open. I don't. Oh, when I said the great, yeah. What's up, Matt? You were told not to do that, but because you did, we have to play a video for you. Which one should I do? I don't remember what this one is, so let's find out together.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Additional ground support is en route to your position. Overlord copies all. Good luck. Out.
Well, that was a lot louder than I remembered it being. Also, Jim and Daimyo, have they stopped doing voiceovers for when you dive? I think they stopped doing that, which if they have, they need to bring that back because it was really cool. So back to more Helldiver stuff. We're going to be talking about probably a lot about how Helldivers. I know, Pilgrim. I apologize. It hurt my ears too, and I'm half deaf in one of them right now. So, like I was saying, Helldivers was the belle of the ball. I mean, they could do nothing wrong, even with all the nerfs that they kept doing. They were still in the top 4 of video games. It was insane. And then on a crispy cold Friday morning, we found out, we all got a notification that you would have to start linking your account, your Steam account, to the PlayStation Network in order to continue playing. That if you were a new player, if you were just buying it, you were going to be required to do that by May 6th. If you had been playing, you would be required to do it by June 4th. And never before have we seen so many people get pissed off so quickly. Like within hours, 2 to 3 hours max, I think, you had hundreds of thousands of people yelling about this. Twitter was blowing up about it. The Steam review was down. They went from being mostly positive across the board to mixed in recent in like 7 hours. There was a coordinated attack both in the Discord and what's up, Bobby? Both in the official Discord, on Twitter, the coordinated attacks created by both moderators, by community managers, by just straight up fans. Like, it was ridiculous. And if we're being honest and fair about it, maybe a little unwarranted. Because at the end of the day, like we've seen a lot of people say on Twitter and on every other social media platform in the world, we do this for a lot of other games. If you go play Call of Duty, you have to have an Activision account. So what's different? Well, I'll tell you what's different. When you go play Call of Duty, they tell you you have to have an Activision account. When you go to get on multiplayer, it says if you want to play multiplayer, you need an Activision account. Continue here. It did do that for Helldivers 2. And even though at the very beginning, before it blew up, it told you had to have a PSN account to play. It was disabled, as we saw that the CEO brought this up as well. They disabled that when the game blew up, basically. So that was one thing. The second is the fact that Sony is notorious for being hacked. And I saw someone mention on Twitter, I love how I still call it Twitter. I saw someone mention that Sony's not the only one that gets hacked. Microsoft gets hacked. Steam gets hacked. Valve gets hacked. It's true. They do. They 100% do get hacked. But Sony gets hacked the most. Sony also doesn't really do anything about it, which is probably the more concerning thing. Daimio, you don't have to love him so much. It's okay. You can, if you want to go on his channel, you can do that. Just ask him. I'm sure Wade would love to have the Gatekeepers Daimio come on his channel. Wouldn't you, Wade? Wade, type yes, type Y in the comments if you want Gatekeepers Daimio to come on your channel. So back to Helldivers. So what happens? Well, over the course of a day and a half, the goodwill that this tiny little Arrowhead company had built up is gone. They go from having one of the most loved games on Steam to becoming the most negatively reviewed game on Steam. 250,000 negative reviews in a day. That is insane. But it worked. Sony relents and pulls the PSN requirement. Now, being a lawyer, I enjoy legal shit. And I love contracts. And I've said several times that, at the end of the day, the contract's what controls. And the contract, as we've been led to believe, for distributing Helldivers 2 was a PSN requirement. So I've got to give it to Sony and say, good job on not just listening to gamers, a billion-dollar company for once listening to people that play the damn game. But I will ban you. I will 100% ban you. GTA better than Helldivers. Where are my mods at? Maybe you should time that person out. Yeah, that'll go over very well. Yeah, so Sony relents after losing. Let's see. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you down here. I'll let you have that. So Sony relents, and we get the great news. Oddly, this is what I thought was really weird. So they basically announced this at like 11:58 p.m. on a Sunday. I thought that was very weird. Why they didn't let it go until like the morning? I don't know. I thought it was weird. It seemed that seemed like a bad business decision. I would have allowed everything to open. Not open. I would have led the day with that good news. I wouldn't have tried to like sneak it in there in the middle of the night. That seems weird, especially because you can track the Steam play, and more people are playing this on Steam than they are on PlayStation. It's not by a lot, but there are more. And you can see that the majority of the people playing this game are in the U.S., and the majority of those are, for the most part, on the East Coast. You can't see it quite as well as you could on games like, let's say, Halo, where they had the map, which was really cool, by the way. I wish more games would do that. But you can see it if you go and look at like the Steam chart. You see that right around 4 o'clock in the East Coast is a big shift in the amount of people getting on. So it's, at least to me, it's pretty apparent. But what was I talking about? See, this is why I like to have people on. This is why I try not to do a lot of solos, because I always forget what I'm talking about. Yeah, so they relent. There we go. That's where we go. So they relent, and we won. A group of gamers finally forced a billion-dollar company to listen to them, which maybe the Nintendo fans should listen to that and start working on something there, because Nintendo is ridiculous at that kind of thing. We just found out, Nintendo just tweeted out a couple hours ago, I think, that you will no longer be able to send your friend code, your Switch friend code, whatever that means, from onto Twitter. Let me see if I can pull this thing up. Nintendo, people, Nintendo of America. There we go. So this is what Nintendo tweeted. Oh, stop that, Damien. As of June 10th, 2024, it will no longer be possible to post screenshots and videos to X, formerly Twitter, from Nintendo Switch's album, or send friend requests to social media users via the friend suggestions feature. And what I like is this Austin John Plays down here replied with, "Okay, that's no problem. I can still choose to share to my phone, which creates an ad hoc network that my phone connects to if I'm lucky. Requires me to scan a second QR code, transfers the one JPEG image, then reconnects to my Wi-Fi and upload on Twitter." For fuck's sake. And I agree. The fact that in order to share a clip from a game you're playing, share a cool image that you see, someone's playing Legends of Zelda, and they're like, "Holy crap, that looks really cool," and they want to share a picture of it, they've got to, as far as I know, screenshot the thing on the Switch or take a picture of it from your phone, I guess. Send that to whatever thing they can do it. I don't know if you have to log. I don't have a Switch, so I don't know if you have to log into an online version of the Nintendo Switch's album or something like that. But the fact that they are creating steps to prevent you or to make it more difficult to share things. And what's annoying is this isn't even a Nintendo versus Switch thing, or sorry, a Nintendo versus Twitter thing. This isn't a Japanese company saying, "Oh, we don't like Elon Musk." This is Nintendo saying, "Fuck social media," and no one's going to share anything. Like, why would you do that? Why would you prevent people from being able to share the videos or the pictures or screenshots of what they're playing? That seems out of touch at best. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. There's some other stuff that I want to talk about. Video. But unfortunately, I don't really remember what some of them were. And I deleted the last thing in which I typed them out. Shit. Come on, Caleb. Xbox, thank you. Now I remember. So yesterday, this was so funny. Video Gamers won Sunday night against Sony. Felt pretty great. And then Microsoft shows up yesterday and says, "Oh, y'all feeling good? Y'all feel great? Hold my dick." And decide to tell everyone that they're closing down 4 studios and firing a bunch of people who have been making games that, while I do not enjoy them, have been relatively popular. And this is Microsoft's problem. And I've been an Xbox guy since 2001. I've loved every single Xbox. I haven't had a problem with them. I've loved so many games. I've enjoyed the Xbox for a long time. But Microsoft keeps buying these companies, saying we've got these grandiose plans, things that sound really great. And then they pull out a 45, shoot themselves in the dick, and say, "Oh my God, we're so sorry, we can't do it." I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say anything. Blame the beer. So Microsoft closed down. Let me get the names real quick. Microsoft closes Arcade Austin, Hi-Fi Rush. Arcade Austin and Tango Gameworks and more. So let me get the full list of the things they closed. Arcade Austin, Tango Gameworks, and a bunch of other studios that I guess were part of Bethesda. So if you remember, about 3 or 4 years ago, Microsoft started acquiring Bethesda Obsidian. And in that, they were like, we're going to make all these great games. We have Starfield coming out. We've got Elder Scrolls 6. And even further, we're looking at new Fallout games. And then, these companies make okay games. They make games like Hi-Fi Rush, which was critically acclaimed, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. I'm sitting here looking at their IGN page. IGN gave them a 9. Now, we're all well aware that that doesn't really mean shit. But the players gave it 8.7. That's a really good game. You can get 1,000 video game players to agree on an 8.7. That's a game you should probably check out. Now, the problem I have with a game like this is you go and pay, I think it was about $60 for this game, and there's just not a lot to do in it. It's not really a open-paced game. Like something that I really love about Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption is the openness of it. You can do just about anything. Obviously, that they put in the game, but there's so much to do that $60 or that $70 you spend feels really worth it. It's kind of the thing that it's exactly what Skull and Bones should have had. you should have bought Skull and Bones, and after 180 hours felt like, wow, I really got my money's worth. Not after 20 hours gone, wow, I'm really happy I only subscribed for a month. Like that's the problem with this shit. So the thing that's so ridiculous about this is Microsoft fires all these people and cuts these studios out of Bethesda. And then like a day later, they released this letter basically saying, we need more games like Hi-Fi Rush. Well, you just fired everyone that made the fucking game. What do you want? Do you want games like it or do you not? Because the best way to get games like Hi-Fi Rush is probably to tell the people that made the damn game to make another one. If you really think the future of video games and the future of games that are going to make your studio successful are games like Hi-Fi Rush, then make Hi-Fi Rush 2. Call the people up that made the game and say, hey, give us another one. I think you're wrong, though. I think the future of video games and the future of gaming in general is a cooperative feel in games like Helldivers with a thing like with an option for PvP and a campaign. Now, what's a great example of that? I don't know. Maybe the first 3 Modern Warfare games. When Call of Duty was at its fucking peak, it had multiplayer, it had co-op, and it had a campaign. A pretty damn fucking good story, too. Who else remembers doing All Gillied Up? The seminal Call of Duty mission, All Gillied Up. Who else remembers? No Russian. I mean, holy shit, guys. But these companies don't want that. All they want is a game that's going to make them money. And as dumb as a sentence as that is to say, there's more about video games. There's more about art, which video games are, than just making money. Van Gogh sold 1 painting in his entire life, and he is one of the greatest artists of all time. The pain that he was able to put in that artwork that stands out is romantic at its best. And it is a perfect example of an artist not being appreciated and people of the time not understanding art. Video games are art just as much as Salvador Dali's paintings or Van Gogh's or Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. They're all art. And when you have these giant companies show up and say, this doesn't fit in our box, this doesn't fit in our money-making box, then you've just fucked everything over. You don't understand. And the other problem is, not only do you have issues with it not fitting in the box over here, but now it doesn't fit in the DEI box that dumbass third-wave feminist lesbians have created. Pardon my French. I'm not going to go much longer. Okay, I think I've talked out about video games. A couple other things I want to hit. So, I'm sure everyone's heard the news. A new Lord of the Rings movie is coming out. Thank you, Demio. # canceled. Love it. Great. Maybe I can go in Joe Rogan and talk about being canceled as a small time YouTuber. That'd be fun. Oh my god. That would end the Joe Rogan podcast because everyone would go, who the hell is this guy? Hang on. What did Pilgrim say? I'll just pull the stream. Screw you, Damien. Okay, hang on, because Jimbo here wants to. Love you, man. Let's make everybody laugh.
Now, Richie, do you have any kids?
Never had a date.
Clark?
Never spoke to a girl.
Gus?
It's so funny if you know him. Dude, stop! Jim, stop. I don't have enough clips.
Well, to be fair.
Oh, don't.
No, hang on. I got a different clip I'm going to play for Jim. Okay, I'm going to need everyone just to hang on for a sec here. What is that show called? Letterkenny. Hang on. This is for I think you will appreciate this. I hope everyone else does as well. Jim, this is thank you.
Yeah, it's so hard to remain authentic. Everything around me is changing. Even the earth is moving from different places in outer space. But one thing remains the same. Yeah, till the end of time. I think I'll remain. I think I'll just stay a B-boy, standing in my B-boy stance. 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 A B-boy.
Thanks, Jim. I hope you'll enjoy that. What's it, Brisket for the biscuit? How you doing, man? Wait, which one is that? I think that's the wrong emoji, dude. You're right. Oh, that's funny. Like I said, Jim, I think I've got it covered. And coming in hot just because he doesn't want to be outdone. What's up, Brisket? 5 memberships. If you got a membership, drop some emojis in the chat. I think they're pretty good emojis. I like them. I had fun making them. What were we talking about? We were talking about, yes, if you've been on Twitter today, you have found out that there is a new Lord of the Rings movie coming. Now, the thing that bugs me about whenever news about this kind of thing happens is they always call it a Lord of the Rings movie. That's not what it is. It is a Middle-earth movie because the Lord of the Rings is a trilogy of books. It's really one book, but it's a trilogy of books that takes place on one story in Middle-earth. When you make movies outside of the Lord of the Rings, they are based in Middle-earth and based on Tolkien's stories. Biscuit, I just felt like crap, dude. I probably about 10 minutes before the stream was supposed to start, I pushed it to 8 o'clock from 7:30, and then just I felt like I just had like a ball of lead in my stomach. It was terrible. And I couldn't do it. So I just canceled it and moved it to tonight. So what this movie is going to be apparently based on, and I've only seen Culture Crave report this. It was, let's see. And now the Hollywood Reporter is reporting it. But it's going to be a movie about the hunt for Gollum. So if you don't know, and Pilgrim will correct me. So stand by in the chat, because if I'm wrong, well, he's driving. He'll correct me after the fact. So at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, and then you kind of get this in the movie too. So in Lord of the Rings, Bilbo disappears at the party. He goes back to the house to bag in, and Gandalf finds him and says, you know, how dare you? You shouldn't do that. Leave the ring for Frodo. He leaves, and then we get that moment where he's just kind of like, that ring. It might be something. And so he gives the ring to Frodo, tells him to keep it secret, keep it safe, and then he goes off. And I was actually incorrect. I said it was 25 years. It's actually 17 years. So he disappears for, well, I say disappears. There's 17 years between when Bilbo disappears and leaves everything to Frodo, and when Frodo leaves to go off on his adventure. So we've got, during that 17 years is when this movie is apparently going to take place. And it's going to be about Gandalf's and, I'm assuming, Aragorn's hunt for Gollum. Because basically what happens, and this is where Pilgrim will correct me, is Gandalf goes, you know, Bilbo acted really strange with that ring. Maybe that ring isn't just some magical ring. And he decides to go find Gollum because he knows that Gollum had the ring before Bilbo. So he decides to go find Gollum, and he calls up his old friend Aragorn to help him because Aragorn is a ranger from the north. And so they spend a bunch of time going back and forth through, I believe, the Misty Mountains and other places up in the northern area. And while Gandalf fucks off down to Minas Tirith to basically spend a couple years perusing the archives, Aragorn finds Gollum. And so, but I believe Gollum escapes. And that's when he eventually gets found by the enemy. And so Gollum, and so Gandalf, you know, as we saw in the movie, you know, he reads the parchments. He sees the tale of, or the poem of Isildur, and basically decides, oh shit, it was the One Ring. But he decides to go meet before going back to the Shire to get Frodo and the One Ring and, you know, start the mission. He goes back to meet with Aragorn because Aragorn has sent word to him that he found Gollum. And during that time, Gollum escapes. But that's what it sounds like the movie's going to be about. We've got Peter Jackson producing and Andy Serkis directing. And I'm assuming starring. You know, there's no way in hell he's letting someone else play Gollum besides himself. So I'm intrigued. I think we will have a better guess as to what this movie will be like when War of the Rohirrim comes out later this year. So you've got multiple names in War of the Rohirrim. You've got Philip Moyahan, who was one of the writers for Lord of the Rings, and you have Miranda Otto, who played Eowyn, attached to the movie. So if it's good, then I think you can pretty much, I would say you could probably take it to the bank that Hunt for Gollum will be at least enjoyable. I don't think the big problem with this is you're basically making a movie off of half a chapter, not even a fifth of a chapter. So the majority of the conversation about what happened while Aragorn and Gandalf were out looking for him happens during the Council of Elrond, I believe. But it's not a lot. I mean, the Council of Elrond is a really big chapter, but there isn't a lot of information to take for this movie. Now, the reason I think that War of the Rohirrim will give us a good idea is because that's even less. The War of the Rohirrim was based off of like 2.5 pages from just one of the appendices. And once again, I will reiterate, if you see someone complain that Helm Hammerhand did not have a daughter, they are wrong and they don't know what they're talking about. It's very, very clearly stated in the appendices that he did have a daughter. So if someone sits there and says, "Oh, this movie shouldn't be done from the point of view of the daughter," well, that's dumb because the daughter. Oh, I'm not going to ruin it. Fuck it. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Everybody, spoiler alert. The daughter's the only one that fucking survives. So she's the only one that can have the point of view throughout the entire story. So fuck you. Sorry, that's because I've seen way too many people complain about there being a woman, and it doesn't make any sense. So this is what I would love to hear from y'all. What do you think about Vigo coming back and doing something? Whether it's playing the whole thing and then de-aging him, or just, maybe doing like a intro thing where he's telling his son a story about his time before the War of the Ring or something like that. I'm trying to find a picture of him, I don't know, recently. Let's try 2024. Let's see. So this is a picture of him at press at the Glasgow Film Festival for his movie. What was it called again? The Dead Don't Hunt. So this is what he looked like in March. So that's him in March. He is obviously aged, but I don't think he's aged poorly. I think it would be a very interesting thing, especially because we know that Vigo has a very fond love for that character, but also a very deep respect for the character. Because Peter Jackson actually asked him if he wanted to come back for The Hobbit. They were going to put him in The Hobbit. And he said he did not believe that The Hobbit needed Aragorn, that there was no point for him, which is why at the end of the third Hobbit movie, he's mentioned Thranduil tells Legolas, if you're looking for someone to talk to, you might want to look up an old ranger from the north. He goes by Strider, but he's actually Aragorn. But this would be different. Aragorn is actually a part of this story. So I would really be curious to see if he would actually partake in the storytelling. I'd love to see him in the storytelling. I really would. What are y'all saying? Let's see. Wonder if they'll extend the runtime and give us more of Aragorn's story. So, that'd be cool. Honestly, there's so much of that story that it's kind of been left out. The only problem with it is, and again, Pilgrim, you know better than I do, but I can't remember if any of the changes they made in the movies would affect telling earlier stories of Aragorn. I don't think they would, because the main one I can think about is just the sword, and he gets the sword at the beginning of Lord of the Rings. So I don't think that affects it. Domino says, if PJ and Circus can put it together professionally and with passion, it could be great. Totally agree. 100% agree. It is going to depend all on them. And the good thing is Peter Jackson has got all the leverage in the world. That man's going to be able to walk in. You're going to have the DEI lady from Warner say, hey, we need this. And he's going to say, I'm Peter fucking Jackson. You know the only reason people know about your shitty studio is me. So fuck off. He's going to be able to do all of that. Or he's just going to walk into the studio holding all of his Oscars and go, These are mine. Fuck off. I only bring it up to show that the story was told in less than an hour already. No, yeah, 100%. Yep. It's a necessity, not. It's a necessity, not an if, in my opinion. How do you feel about Anakin being recast? So, yeah. So that's the thing. Viggo's also pretty old. Viggo Mortensen is 65. He'll be 67 when this movie comes out. That's pretty old. But again, I don't think he looks 67. And we all know about the fact that when they didn't originally cast Viggo for Aragorn, they cast someone else, which Pilgrim will know his name. I always forget his name. But they cast somebody else. And what's his name? Peter Jackson realized about a week before they needed to start filming stuff with Aragorn that they cast him too young. So they needed someone that looked older. Of course, you've got someone that's supposed to be playing an 85-year-old who is, magic himself, basically. Being played by a 40-year-old. And this story is supposed to be 17 years before that. I don't know. I think that Hollywood is pretty damn good at making people look older or younger, whether you do it through makeup or computer. I think that if he's able and willing, I think you have to have him back. I think there's no reason on this planet not to bring Viggo Mortensen back. Let's see. Yep, Pilgrim, exactly. Throw in some makeup to make him look a bit younger and bring him back. Ooh, this would be interesting. You're saying that someone said that Peter wanted to tell this story before he did The Hobbit? I see. Yeah. I see exactly what you're saying. So some of the Hayden wasn't bad. Some of it was bad. I don't remember Ahsoka a lot, but the Hayden in Kenobi, I thought was not good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Like it didn't look real. But the Hayden in the full episode in Ahsoka, I thought was pretty good. But not in the little 2-second clip in the episode prior. I thought that was bad. But, there's somewhere in between, obviously fake, like Carrie Fisher in Rogue One, and that young Hayden Christensen. There, you get somewhere in between that, and I think they could nail it. Because what do you have to do for? He doesn't have a bunch of wrinkles. He doesn't look. He doesn't look like he's starving. He's not dying. What do? You put a little bit of base on him, and I don't know. I don't do makeup. Makeup's weird. I'm sure. Hey, Sundowners, you dye your hair. What do you suggest? A little bit of dye and some cheekbone stuff? I don't know. He's gonna fucking love that. I'm gonna get a text message that says "fuck you." Okay, another news. What's it called? Tron Ares wrapped shooting last week. Well, that probably saved me some embarrassment. Tron Ares wrapped shooting last week. It's supposed to come out in, I think, late October. So I'm really excited for that. The only thing that worries me is we only heard about Jeff Bridges actually being part of Tron Ares in like 2 weeks ago. So does that mean he's only in like 5 minutes of the movie? Or do they just have to wait and like pepper in all of his shoot times for the last week and a half? That doesn't sound promising. So I definitely have concerns about that. Pilgrim says, I hope Ian returns as well. So I actually saw a thing with Ian, like an interview, I think it was, about a week or two ago, and he looked okay. I mean, he's obviously a lot older. You know, he's 84 now, I think. And so I don't think it would be in any case like what we saw him doing in Lord of the Rings. I think it would be closer to what we saw Christopher Lee do in The Hobbit, which, let's be honest, is one of the high points of The Hobbit. Being able to see Christopher Lee come back and do that, I think, was absolutely beautiful. So it would be cool whether or not you have someone else do the body work. You let him come in and voice the character, kind of like James Earl Jones does in with Darth Vader. Maybe something like that. But I think you've definitely got to give Ian the opportunity. You know, you got to get that nose back on screen. I really hope you're wrong, man. I'm real pissed if Jeff Bridges gets sidelined. That a lot of people are going to be angry about that. So the other news that I've got, and I think this is going to be one of the last things I talk about, unless anyone else has a question of sorts, is from the great Twitter sphere and the great Twitter account, Redanian Intelligence. I know I'm a couple days late on this. The Dunk and Egg series will be called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and will have 6 episodes. So why is this such a cool thing to know right now? I'll tell you why. So A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is the collection of the 3 Dunk and Egg stories that have been told already. And what was concerning me is there were rumors quite a while ago that this was actually going to be like a like 20, 30-minute episodes, 22-minute episodes. And that's not Game of Thrones. You cannot deviate. And that's also why I'm concerned about the animated stuff they're going to do. Game of Thrones is an adult or a mature world. You cannot start throwing children elements into Game of Thrones. You're going to water down your product, and people aren't going to like it as much. So what this tells me is they're probably going to do 2 episodes per story that have already been released. And I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, episode 2. It's going to be fucking wild. I've already said that episode 1 of this upcoming season of House of the Dragon is going to draw battle lines. You thought you were pro-black. You thought you were pro-green. Episode 1 is going to tell you what you are. It's going to be brutal. I think this is going to make that look like a SpongeBob SquarePants episode. That second episode, if you've read the Dunk and Egg novel, or I guess technically it's a novella, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, it is far and away the easiest of them to read. It's not POVs. It's not a history book like the Fire and Blood book. It is just a novel, and it is a fun read. It's a super easy read. Highly recommend getting it. You have a year. But I'm very excited about this. Anyone else? Any thoughts? Anything you want me to hit on before I end it for the night? Before I go play 2 hours of Helldivers? Anything? Anybody going once? Well, I guess I should wait a second because people are typing. Going twice. Let's see. Oh my God. Dude, I forgot about that. Oh my God. Well, you know, let me see if I can find the actual video of this. Wait for it. Sorry, I'm just watching it to make sure this is actually it. It's only like another 20 seconds. Jesus. All right, so I was under the impression that part of this was supposed to include Palpatine. So I read somewhere that Palpatine misgendered a someone in the show. I don't see that, but let's watch this real quick. And then of course, let me know if you think Star Wars is alive and well and not fucked up at all. Thanks, bud. Obviously, I'm going to have to talk and pause every now and then because, you know, I don't want Disney and or Lucasfilm striking the stream.
It's finished.
Yeah, wait for it. I think the next like 15 seconds are the really bad ones.
They're still alive.
Who's they? There's
We
only
need to
one.
get them to the ship. We can save them.
Forget it. Let them die. It's not worth the trouble.
They were about to surrender.
Irrelevant.
Wait for it.
The Jedi are a threat to be eradicated.
All right, it's right about here. Let's count them. Let's play. What is it? Sesame Street.
They're still alive. We need to get them to the ship. We can save them.
Forget it. Let them die. It's not worth the trouble.
5 third-person pronouns in 14 seconds. That seems almost impossible, right? Like, no one. First off, no one talks like that. Even if you're part of that whole alphabet mafia, no one talks like that. Like that's insane. Yeah, isn't it? Isn't that? I don't know. I didn't watch this shit. Is this Barasafi right here? So this isn't. I think this is just another green chick. But what about this? Is this Someone watched this shit, right? Purist, was it bad? Like, did it take you completely out of the show, or are you still enjoying the good parts of the show? Okay, so, which I think, so this is what's funny about the difference between this Disney shit and that other Disney shit is I think we can pretty much confirm that the showrunner dude that was fired a week before the show actually came out for X-Men wasn't fired because they thought X-Men was going to be bad. Something happened. I don't know if it was the thing with his OnlyFans or what, but something happened. That's why he got fired. I think he got fired. Hang on. Oh, you did type it wrong. Okay. I think he got fired because of something he did. And I wouldn't be surprised to find out it was criminal. Well, guys, yeah, I totally agree with that, Jim. The absurdity that evil Sith would take the time to respect pronouns is bullshit. And it's, again, this all this is furthering the fact that all they care about is removing the good versus evil. That is one of the biggest hallmarks of both storytelling, successful storytelling, and every myth, legend, religion, hero's journey, from Beowulf to fucking Luke Skywalker, from Gilgamesh to Jon Snow. Good versus evil. And all they care about is destroying that idea. It's why those dumbasses got up there at Star Wars Celebration and said, you know, there really is no good versus evil in Star Wars. Oh, then who the fuck had the red lightsabers? Like, oh, red, they were just misunderstood. They didn't try to kill a whole bunch. Anakin Skywalker didn't kill a bunch of children. That would be evil. He didn't do that. Fuck them. Sorry. I went kind of down a rant there. Regardless, I can't stand Orwellian doublespeak. The showrunner is a true fan, I guarantee. The only people ripping the show still are grifters or people who aren't real X-Men fans. I stand by that. Dude, this is the thing. I know that there are people that are probably saying, it's a Disney show, it's bad. But you can have good stuff in the shit. There is, it's Amazon. Look, let's look at Amazon. Amazon has ruined Rings of Power. They have ruined almost every single one of their fantasy things. But you could sit there and say, Amazon Prime's doing it? Oh, shit. Because as dumb as he is for opening his fucking mouth, Reacher is still a fucking great show. Clarkson's Farm, while it's not a scripted show, while it's not a TV show, is still a fucking great thing to watch. The problem is when you get people in positions of power on these shows, and they're like, well, we want to put our stuff in it. That's the problem. And once again, it take you back to what Peter Jackson said when he was being interviewed in 2002 by, I think it was 60 Minutes, and they said, how did you do this? Like, was there ever a point where you wanted to tell your story? And Peter Jackson very clearly says, at no point did we want to disrespect the story that Professor Tolkien told. In fact, if you go back and watch the appendices for the shows, for the movies, they say quite a couple times in there that there were actually times they felt like they needed to change something that Tolkien had done. And every single time they did that, they ended up changing it back because it didn't work. There, but for the grace of God go I. I mean, you want to talk about divine intervention. It's incredible. Well, guys, thank you so much. Jim, thank you. Risk It, Daimyo. I don't know what to say other than this. Real quick, I do want to say, there's one thing I do want to say. So what I should have started at the very beginning was, earlier this week, we lost a very important person to, I think, a lot of Lord of the Rings fans. Bernard Hill played Theoden, King Theoden, in Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and Return of the King. And to see the outpouring of love and sadness on Twitter, on Facebook, from people that probably hadn't talked to him in a while, people that hadn't really been associated with him outside Lord of the Rings, I think just goes to show the amount of love and respect in those movies. The fact that when they finished the movies, what's his name? Bernard Hill and Viggo Mortensen both were presented with a haka, which, if you don't know, a haka is a ceremonial dance that New Zealanders do. And it's really only for visiting dignitaries and royalty. And that's how much they respected these two men. And I think Bernard Hill, far and above probably anyone, maybe with the exception of Viggo Mortensen, I think knew exactly what they had when they were making that movie and those movies. And it is actually quite sad to hear of his passing. And I hope, obviously I hope both, his family's doing well, but I know we will all remember him for both his great monologue in Helm's Deep and for getting there and killing all the orcs in the Battle of Pelennor Fields. Everyone, have fun.